All right. This is for my own reference. The next time I get a Windows update and it reverses everything that I did to optimize my Windows 10 laptop for audio production. Yeah. So, my own reference, but if it happens to help anyone else out there, so much the better. I am Lean Bear. This is my studio, and my DAW is Cakewalk by BandLab. No apologies. You shouldn't believe all the negative hype. It's really awesome and free. Not just for being free. It's a really good DAW, paid or otherwise. Anyway, I'll just get right to it. So I went for a long time without having to take any kind of serious measures to optimize. I do have it's a 7-year-old gaming laptop, MSI, and the only time I ever had glitching, stuttering issues was with, and this is before I started using MIDI. Okay, recently I got this MIDI controller and started playing virtual instruments with it, and that's when I had to take optimization seriously. But before that, the only time I had issues was with like a really big project of 20 plus tracks and just a lot of plugins. And the way I dealt with it when I had those issues was just to I would just freeze tracks to take load off of the CPU, and then obviously before mixdown I would unfreeze the tracks. But lo and behold, I started this new project with this MIDI controller and started playing virtual instruments, and now I have 6 tracks on this project, but 5 tracks in, and I was unable to to make a video about the project and have it play back without severe glitching and stuttering. Even without the OBS and Camo software for making the video. Even without that, I was having to the point where I couldn't add any new parts to the project. So I got onto the internet and looked through a dozen or so of there are dozens and dozens, if not hundreds, of blog posts and articles on optimizing Windows 10 for audio work. And so I tried all those tips and tricks, I think all of which had to do with settings. Okay, tweaks that were accessible through settings. And none of that really made a dent. I also tried modifying my buffer sizes, tweaks in Cakewalk preferences, in sync and caching, in playback and recording. You want multi-processing engine selected. You want plug-in load balancing selected. Jury's out on MMCSS, whatever that is. Anyway, I did everything I could in Cakewalk preferences and in Windows 10 settings, and it still wasn't really making a dent in the problem. I eventually figured out that the main problem was this VST instrument here. Why is it not coming up? It's the Vital synth. I guess it's not coming up because I have this track frozen. This VST instrument, Vital, apparently is so processor intensive that it was just okay. Even after the measures that I'm about to lay out that I finally took that went beyond setting, I had to go into the BIOS. I had to go into different parts of Windows system, and I had to actually go into the BIOS, make some changes. But even after those changes, which mostly fixed it, the only thing that will enable me to play this project back while I'm running OBS and Camo to make a YouTube video is by freezing this track, Vital. So I'll just start playback right now, and so no glitching. But if I unfreeze this one, and here is the synth right here. It's pretty cool. I'm still new to MIDI work. I'm still learning the ropes, you know. But I was lucky enough to find this one early on. It's a really cool synth, but man, does it eat CPU. It really, really cuts in. So now check it out. So right away. And it'll just get worse and worse until it just playback cuts out altogether. Right? So I'm just going to undo that unfreeze. So this is still a problem. I think I've taken the optimizations about as far as I can for the hardware that I have. This is a gaming laptop. You know, I bought it for other purposes, not audio production. And it's always performed great until recently. So I've run into my limitations with this machine. But it's acceptable. I can work with it. Anyway, so here's what I did. Start with, that's another issue altogether right there that I'm still working on. So, starting with, okay, first thing, disable CPU core parking. Disable CPU core parking. I guess, all right, well, I should start with this. Out of all the settings tweaks that I did, this was probably the most important. System, power and sleep. And again, for different Windows 10 users, Windows is so awful, man. It's like this is going to be different for different Windows 10 users navigating this, because I recently listened to a Windows. I read an article on this subject by a Windows engineer or programmer, whatever he is. And he said it's different for everybody because they're gradually they're just gradually changing all this thing with from update to update, right? So, but anyway, what you have to find is in this what I have is power and sleep, and then this one, additional power settings. And you want to find this. Whatever you're working with, you want to find this. And you want to make sure, so choose or customize a power plan. You want this on high performance. And then, let me see, change plan settings. You want turn off the display and put the computer to sleep on never and never. And then change advanced power settings. That's going to bring this little guy up. And let me see. Hard disk off, plugged in, never. USB settings. USB selective suspend setting. Plugged in, disabled. That has to be disabled. And processor power management. Processor performance core parking min cores. 100%. That should be set at 100%. Okay. And that's it. Now, I'm going to go back to this one. All right. Disable CPU core parking. So what is core parking? As I understand it, it's only an issue with laptops. It's a power saving. All of these are what I'm about to show you how to turn off are, power saving measures so that we can all help save the planet with our little laptops by sacrificing performance for the planet, for the survival of the planet. Right? Right. You see, in order to do our part to save the planet, we all have to pay for gimped up, handicapped, performance challenged hardware. Just gimped right out of the box, and you don't even know it. Anyway, you do want to help save the planet, don't you? You're not a bad person, are you? Well, I am. I want performance. I want to be able to record my music. Thank you. So, there's this thing called CPU core parking. And apparently the next time I get an update that I don't want from Uncle Billy, it's going to automatically reverse this. And so I'm going to have to go back in after every debate, after every debate. Was that a Freudian slip? I doubt it. I'm going to have to go back in and redo this every time I get an unwanted update from Uncle Billy. Good old Uncle Billy. Right. So, how to disable CPU core parking. I'm using Brave browser, which has a really cool AI assistant. This is the way AI should be used. This is actually a really useful and very nifty use of AI. It saves me a fuckload of time when I'm looking stuff up. It's not infallible, and one has to do due diligence, and right, but it saves a lot of time. It scours all the blogs and articles and everything, and it dishes up a nutshell, a summary of what you're dealing with. So I type in how to disable CPU core parking Windows 10, and this is what I get. So, all right, enable high performance mode. Already did that just now. Use registry editor. This is what I did. You can also download a third-party app to do this for you, but why? I mean, you never know what's in these things. It's easy enough to do it yourself. So this is how. So you open registry editor. You navigate to the following key, which is a long key address or whatever it is. You find that, and then you make an edit, and then you restart the PC, and that's it. And, you know, this is for myself, maybe in a month from now when I've forgotten all of this. So you're welcome, future Lean Bear. All right. So what does that look like? So here's the easiest way. I go into search and I type in REG, registry editor. There it is. And click it. Yes, allow it. There it is. So it goes right to, the cool thing is that if I don't do anything else in registry editor until then, the next time I open registry editor, it's going to go right back to where I was, which is right here. And so what do I do here? It says edit value max to 0. Here is value max. Double click. Value data 0. All right, that's already been done. But the other thing you want to do is go to, which one was it? Let's see, value max. Value max. Oh, you want to go to attributes, double click, and set that to 0 also. That'll be at 1. Value max will probably be at 64. You change 64 in value max to 0. You change 1 in attributes to 0. Now, finding this the first time, all right, so if you have Brave with the AI assistant, type in this query, you're going to get this answer. Use registry editor. Obviously, you can start up registry editor and you can copy and paste. You could copy this part of it right here, that string. You could copy that. And then, let me see. And then you go in here and edit, find, paste that in here, and find next, and zip. You can find it right there. Or, here's the long way. This is the way I did it, because I couldn't copy paste because I was looking this information up in my Linux machine because the Windows machine was offline during all this. So, yeah. Well, look. Right up here. When you first start regedit, it's going to look like that. And then, if you follow... Okay, so H key local machine. H key local machine. Hit the little caret. And next one, / system. There's system. Hit the caret. Next is, control set 001. Control set 001. Next is control. There's control. Next is power. Scrolling down, under control, there's power. Next is power settings. There's power settings. Just clicking down through the tree or whatever it is. And then under power settings, 54, there's where we get into the long numbers, 545332251, blah, blah, blah. There it is, right? Click the caret. And then after that is, there's / 0cc5b647 right there. That's it. Click on that. And over here is where we have attributes and value max. All right. And let me see. So that's that. Make those changes and restart. Disable processor idle mode. Okay, I haven't done this yet. Machine system controls it. I balked at it because first, I through what I'm about to show next, I got enough of a fix to the problem that I just didn't bother to go back and try this yet. Also, it says create this new key if it doesn't exist. I don't know. It just seems like too much monkeying around with the inner workings of wind blows. And I just don't want to do that if I don't have to. But it's there. Now, next, and this was not in any of the blog posts or articles on Windows machine optimization that I found. I can't even remember how I found this. I can't remember, but I stumbled on it. It was a little bit of a hard to find rabbit hole, at least for me. But here it is. Let me see. This was the first one. Disable hyperthreading in the BIOS. So, if you don't know what the BIOS is, if you've never gone into the BIOS, if you're totally not a geek like me, like I really hesitate to monkey around with the technical things. I'm just not good at that stuff. But the BIOS is really nothing to be afraid of. Just make sure you have good instructions and follow them. So, but how do you get into the BIOS? Depending on your machine, you restart, and as you restart, you either hold down or repeatedly press, very quickly, repeatedly press. Depending on your machine, it's going to be like F2 or F4 or F6 or F10. It depends on your machine. For mine, I think it was F10. You can find out which key by just doing a web search and just type in the make and model of your machine and which key to enter BIOS, and you should be able to find out that information easily. You get into the BIOS. I can't demonstrate it right now because it requires that you restart your computer. So it's something that you do before Windows boots up. Okay, so I can't demonstrate it. But you get into BIOS, you'll figure it out. If your machine has this thing called hyperthreading, you disable that. If it's enabled, you disable it. Okay? And again, these are all stupid little performance sacrifices that are made for you when you buy your machine so that you can be a good little citizen and help save the planet, don't you know? Turn that shit off. Disable hyperthreading. If you have C states, something called C states enabled, disable it. And if you've got something called virtualization enabled, disable it. Disable, 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 and then F10 is save changes and restart. You disable these bitches, hit F10, restart the machine, and you should experience a noticeable, if not drastic, improvement in performance. Was there anything else? Oh, yeah. Here's one more. Optimize Windows 10 performance, foreground, background. And I forget how that was done. And I'm not going to spend time here navigating back to it, but it is somewhere in the settings. Somewhere in the settings, there is an option you can toggle foreground programs or background services. Make sure that you select foreground programs. It says it's the default setting, but for some reason, mine was on background services. And this is in addition to all the other obvious shit, like, go into your startup programs and, programs that launch automatically with startup and don't have anything running in the background that you don't have to. Obviously, right? Okay. But these were the big three right here in the BIOS. Disabling these made all the difference to where I can actually continue work adding new parts to my project, and I can play them back and mix once again. Okay. Is there anything else? No, that's another issue altogether, and maybe if I sort this out, I'll make another little video on how I fixed this. But I'm learning that, see, I've got a lot of USB devices, and I use a USB hub, and I use a cheap one. But apparently, as with many things, not all USB hubs are made equally. And I might need to look into getting a more expensive USB hub. Sometimes you really do get what you pay for. I've got 3 USB mics. And apparently, if you're using a hub to, well, I'll say this. If here is a USB keyboard right here, and because my MSI keyboard is, the laptop's keyboard is sketchy. If I plug my USB keyboard into the hub, then it doesn't work. The keyboard lights up, but it doesn't. There's no input. So if that's just for a keyboard, then I'm still trying to get to the bottom of this. I've had some my USB mics have been acting sketchy recently, so. But it might be even, there might be other issues other than just the USB hub. This is all a lot more complicated than I had thought, but then again, we're dealing with wind blows and Uncle Billy. Good old Uncle Billy. Philanthropist extraordinaire Uncle Billy. Okay, so, but yeah, I think that's it. That's a good summary of what I did. And, yeah, it's not, next time I'm in the market to buy a computer, I've learned my lesson. Next time it's going to be a desktop. Next time I'm going to build it. I'm going to tailor it to audio production. I'm going to build myself a machine, hopefully where I never have issues like this ever again. But I can continue work. That's the important thing. Okay. So, back soon with Mixer's log update on this project right here that I was just running through. Got to do an update and then get back to work on it tonight. This has been Lean Bear from lovely scenic Paju City, South Korea, 5 kilometers south of the North Korean border, where all hell could break loose at any given moment. Not. But maybe. You never know. Over and out.